Good morning everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Deb from Project Life Deb's Way, and this month I've got a side-by-side 12x12 layout using the Projectlife plastic pocket system. I'm using, sorry about the holes because I've used some, the 3/4 Designs Blush Indulgence. I did have a bit of trouble with this one because it doesn't have a lot of small ephemera, which you sort of do need for your pocket pages, but I did manage. And also too with this design, which is really quite nice, is in the kit they actually have these 12x12s. So if you've done my pocket pages, you've got plenty of paper left and ephemera and that to actually make some of these up as well, which you could actually put in the center or use as a flat page. And for those that have done my previous Project Life know how I do my fold out pages. Now I've done this is the first page that I've done, and then the other side, I'll just tilt it so you don't get the light. All right, let's have a look. That's better. So I'll give you a more in-depth look at these pages, and then we'll get on with making the cards in a sec. Please don't forget to subscribe and like my channel, because then you'll get notifications when you get new videos. Now, for those people that want to know how to cut the papers and that, over in my Facebook group, which I'll put the link down below the video, I do a full in-depth video of cutting of all the papers. I actually cut the papers so you can see me cutting and what sizes I cut all my papers for. So let's get on and having a look at what the exact papers I've used, and then we'll get on with making the cards. So this is a sneak peek of the papers that I'll be using for my layout. I'm using the 3/4 Designs called Blush Indulgence. Now this is quite a big pack because it has quite a few bits of ephemera, some chipboard pieces, and it also comes with some cutouts. These are probably a bit big, but I will sort of use this. It is a bit big for what I normally use, but it's great for uses for other things that you can put. Not really decided yet whether I'll be using like the winter white, sort of ivory cardstock white, but I definitely with this be using black for my photo mats to make them pop. Now I'll give you a quick squiz at the papers I've decided that I think I'll be using, and I've popped all the rest to one side. I have decided on this little, because I love to be able to use these to get some contrast. This one here for some base papers. This one, and this one. And I'll definitely be using some of these, particularly the words and things like that. This also comes with these smaller sheets. I'll be using some of those, and some of these lovely little tags and things. And once again, you do have some extra florals. So we'll see how we go. I may stamp up some tickets and things like that, but I will show you those as we start doing our cards. So there's a sneak peek of your papers. Now we've had a look at the papers. For those of you that are in my Facebook group, you would have had the cutting files for you with the video and that on how I cut these papers. So I'll go and cut my papers and etc., and then we'll get on with making our cards. So here's card number 1. So we've got our 6x4 base card cut. The ephemera I've used is the clock. I've had a butterfly, always choose kindness. I have chosen a beautiful greeny coloured ribbon, and I've cut a tiny strip that will just fit on top of that ribbon. Now I've distressed everything in black soot, and I've really grunged it. And these cards here, the strips, I want them to end about 1/4 of an inch so they have a border on each side. But before I do it, I want my tape to run down the middle. So I'll do, that's the first thing I will do with constructing these cards, is to actually put my ribbon down. And I always find it easier to put your tape onto your ribbon first, then I will fold those under so that that card has a ribbon on it. Now these strips I've grunged around, and I want once again a 1/4 of an inch border, so I will just trim these down to the exact right size and just ink the edges. And then I'm going to attach that right in the middle of that tape, which I haven't done. There we are there. Then this one, I want that 1/4 of an inch border to follow all the way around. And there we have the beginning of our base card. Now we'll put our ephemera on. I want the clock, and the clock, I've got 2 widths of mounting tape. I've got a 1mm thick, and then I've got the 2mm thickness, so that when I put, I've got 2 layers of ephemera on there. Now with this one, I'm going to take that double width off and just put the half width on there, because it'll be overlapping. So when it overlaps, it will all be the same, you'll get the same height. So I'm going to take my mounting tape off of the back of the clock. And just pop that down onto my base card. Then the Always Choose Kindness, which has got the thick mounting tape on, except for this piece here, which it will attach itself to the clock. And that gives you a nice raised. Now I will be popping a little bit of glue on these leaves and getting them to lay flat. Onto my card. Now I've done my normal by putting some thin strips of mounting tape onto my butterfly, and then I'll fold it in the middle and put a bit of glue. And then I press the center down where the glue is, and that gives you a bit of movement with your butterfly. I'm going to just twist that a bit. Now I've also decided with this particular one, I wanted to introduce some brads. Now I didn't know whether to use black or whether to use brass, but I've decided to use black on mine. But if you didn't have black, you could use silver or whatever colour you wanted. So I've propped my holes. I then will push my brads in. To where I want them. I will then turn them over, or if you haven't got brads and you've got Nuvo drops, you could use your Nuvo drops as well. That would give you the same effect. Then, as always, I always cover my brads over with a bit of double-sided tape so that it doesn't catch on the next card that you put in your plastic folders. So there we have card number 1 ready to go. Card number 2 is just a large photo mat. So I've got my 6x4, my slightly smaller in the cream cardstock, which you just center, and then you do exactly the same with the black photo mat. Center that as well. And then we'll do card number 3. Card number 3 is another easy one. So you've got your little 6x4 card. I have cut another card that is 5 by 3 3/4. And this one goes with just a nice border all the way round, more to the left hand side. I have got some flowers here I'm going to pop down here before I put my photo mat on, and these aren't mounted, they're just flat. If you did want to mount, you could actually mount one side of them, and I'm just going to pop that down like that. Any little leaves, I'll just pop a bit of glue. Okay, so now I have got a photo mat here which is a 4 1/4 by 3 3/4, so you'll get a true 4 by 3 photo on that, and that is going to go like that onto the other base. So this really has got like a 3 photo mat squares. And there's card number 3 finished. Now we're on to card number 4. So I've got my base card here, my 6x4 base card, and I've also cut, which I haven't inked, the one I didn't do. Okay, so once again I've done my strip, and I've made that just slightly smaller than the base card, then the strip on top with my ribbon. So I've already put that all together, and I've got a 3x4 photo mat with the matching outside mat ready to go. Now this one is going to go in the middle of the card, so we'll get that onto the card straight away. I did have a bit of trouble with this particular paper because it didn't have a lot of small ephemera. It had lots of big ephemera, which is great for your 12x12s, but not so good for your Projectlife layouts. So I found a small little rose, and I've also got lots of this lovely Drosophila, and then I found cut some leaves from one of the pages. So I'm going to put my rose sort of like that, but I will get my photo mat on first. Now I'm moving that slightly across because I want a black brad to go in there. So I'm just going to position my photo mat first. Get my mat down. Now I have put a little bit of the half mounting tape on my rose. So I'm going to get that into place first. And I'm going to glue my little leaves into place, and then pop my Drosophila, and if there's a little bit too much, just take it off. There we go. Pop that in, and then this little bit I think I'll just pop that in here as a second layer to give me a bit of depth. Otherwise I won't see my brad. So once that's all stuck, I can pop my holes in for my brads. Push them through. Flick them over. And as normal, cover them up. There we have a beautiful card complete. So now we'll get on with our 3x4 cards. So here's our two photo mat cards in the 3x4 format, 5A and 5C. So I've got my 3x4s, and then I've just trimmed 1/4 of an inch off top and the side to give you that small border. And then you'll get your 3x4 photograph, and then you'll trim that down again so that your photograph sits with just a little bit of a black border. Now if you want bigger photographs, you can just put a black card in there and just pop your photograph, but I do like a little bit of a border around mine. So there's those 2 cards complete, and now we'll do 5B and 5D. So here's card 5B and 5D. This one here, I've used some of the big florals, and you can see what I mean by having big graphics compared to the small graphics that I normally use. So I've gone with the flow. I've got from the cut apart sheet this here, and I just made it a tiny bit smaller, and I'm going to pop this one down here. Now I've got the big thick mounting tape on this one. I'm going to pop it over there so it looks like it's overlaying, and then the leaves, I've got the half mounting tape on. And they are just going to be popped underneath like that, which gives me sort of like 3 layers. Then my shine, I've put the half tape, and I've really made that very dark around, and that's just going to go up in the top like that. And there's that card done. This card here, I have once again really grunged black around the outside. I have got here a piece of card I cut from the excess card that had the black with a little bit of gold, and this is 2x3. And what I'm going to do here, this is going to go up in the top corner like so. Then this came from one of the cut apart sheets. It isn't the big pleasures that count, it's making a great deal out of the little ones, and it's done by Jan Webster, which is a lovely little saying. So I'm going to take, and I've put the half mounting tape on that, and that's going to go sort of in the center of that square. Now the reason why I put the black behind is to make this pop. Now I've got some of the little Drosophila there, and I'm going to tuck that in that little torn corner like so. Now this Drosophila, you can actually see I have actually been very painstakingly and taken all the bits out. It does look better if you do that. And I've put the half mounting tape on those 3 tall pieces here. Very fiddly to get off. And then I am going to glue the bottom flat. And then that's going down the bottom here. And the mounting tape is going to raise these. These ones here, I'm going to just pop a little bit of glue on there to get them to stick down. go. Now I also had a little rose I found and I wanted that cut, but I haven't cut it off yet because I didn't know where I wanted it first, and that's where I want it to go. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue, stick it down to where I think it needs to go. And I'm going to turn my card over and just snip it off, and then just do my edge. And there we have our 4 little 3x4s. Now, for some of the people in Australia, we're having trouble getting all the different plastic folders. So if you have this situation where you don't have 3x4s, but you can only get 6x4s, what you can do is just get a piece of white paper of any sort, do your 6x4 like that, and then just pop your cards on like that, just to keep them together, and then they'll go in your folder as a 6x4 and nobody would be any the wiser. But I do even now like to separate mine because they do look slightly different if they're separated. So that's how you can do that if you can't get those 3x4 pockets. So we have now completed one side, so we'll go on to our left hand side. So we're on to the right hand side now. So this is what I class as my eye candy card, so, or your title card, or whatever you like to call it. And it's quite an easy card. You just have one of the roses, which I've cut down. I also have the clock, nice big clock there. So the main thing is to get these 2 in place first. So I'm going to pop my clock down first. And I've got some tape there that this will tape to. Take the tape off the flower and then get that into place first. Making sure my 12 is at the top. Now this flower, I want it flat at the side, but then I'm going to put some half mask of mounting tape, the 1mm. Then I've got my butterfly, which I've done my normal mounting tape to make it flatter. Glue in the middle. And then hold it down for a few minutes. Now you've got a spot for your title here or a spot for your title here. And there's card 6 done. So here's card number 7. Once again, I have got my little dark card with my tape, and that is going to go up the top here. But first of all, I need to get my little card photo mat on first, which is a 3x4. So that goes down onto my card as low as I can get it. About 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, centered there. Then this card is going to go up here. So we'll get that attached next. Now my Stay Strong, I have once again put the 1mm foam tape on. Pop that down, making sure that I don't have any of that mounting tape on that G, so you can get your photograph. Once your photographs are in, you could actually stick that down. Now once again, I need my brads. I want a hole there and a hole there. It's just following the same theme all the way through with your cards. So we'll just fold those over. Take the backs down. There we have card number 7. Card 8 is another easy one. Once again, I have done one of those 3 mat borders, so your photo mat goes onto that extra mat. Because I've got one on the other side, I always do one on each side of my layout. Then this is going to go that's once I get the tape off, up the top there, like so. And the photo mat on this one is a 3x4. Now here I've got the flower that I cut down slightly from the cut aparts, just down. Then I cut another flower. I just cut the flower with the leaf to tuck underneath, and a bit of just soffler, and they're going in flat. So while that's together, I'm just going to glue that because it's easier. So I just pop that down, pop the Gesoffler down, then I'll get rid of the mounting and pop my flower in. And there we have card 8. Card 9's another easy one. You've got your base 6x4, which I've inked. You then have your four and a quarter, so you can fit a true 3x4 on this. This goes down the bottom with about the same amount of about 1/8 of an inch border down the bottom, centered. Now I have got the clock that came from the paper sheet at the front, because I wanted to pop the clock just behind like that, so I'd get the few leaves and things with the flowers, and then those flowers we're going to tuck underneath. So I'll sort of get everything where I need it to be. Then I will glue down the flowers to get that in the correct position. Then I will glue the next layer, and as you notice I put my tape down the side so I can actually get things up and underneath. Then I'll wiggle that around until I get it in the perfect place, and then just stick it down. There we have all of our 6x4 cards done. So now we've just got our 3x4 set to do. So these is our photo mats. Just let me put my glue together. So once again, I've got my 3x4, and then I've just trimmed this down by 1/8 of an inch. So there's just a little bit of a border around them when you center the photos. But you do find it does make a difference to your layout having that little bit of colour behind. There we go. So that's our two 10A and 10C done, and we'll do our okay, here we go with card 10B. So I've really done a lot of dark edging on this. I've got Dream and Hope, and I've done the same, and I've cut them down just slightly to make them a little bit smaller. Inked the edges really well, and I've got Hope flat and Dream on mounting tape. I've fluttered my butterfly, and this one piece of Gesoffler I have raised, and the other two I'm keeping flat. So how I'm going to do this is I'll get my Hope and then raise the Dream and just get them slanting. I want my butterfly down here, and then I want this here, and I'm going to pop that little bit of Gesoffler underneath. Then this raised one's going to be raised up in the corner. So once I'm fairly happy, I'm going to get my Hope down first. Then I'll get my Dream. Pop my butterfly on. Then I'm going to stick the underneath Gesoffler first. Then do my bigger one. Then I'll put my raised one up. Sort of get that butterfly to stick. So there is 10B complete. So our last of our cards. So once again, I have done one of those little cards with the ribbon and etc. Made it all fit with all the little corners and things. Now with this, I'm going to lay this down because this is going over the top and I've mounted it, but I want these florals behind. So the first floral I want is this little tiny titty one. And because they're so small, I'm going to glue them down. But you need to pop your card and then pop that down. Like that. Then I want my rose to go in next. I'm just going to slip that behind. So I haven't really patted anything down yet because I want this to go behind that rose. So I'm going to glue this. This is what this glue is so good because it will actually move. I'm going to just tap them all down now. Get them all attached. And then once I'm happy, I will take the backing off of the strip and get that down. There we are. Then my always, I've got that mounted and I want that right in the middle. Then I'll get my out again. I didn't get enough brads out because I've decided, because I had 4 on one side, I wanted an extra. That one's only got one leg. Extra brads. So once again, I'm going to put my 2 brads in. Pop those in. Now the reason why I did 2 brads in this one is because I've got my 2 brads in here. So I've got one with 2 brads, then I've got another one with 1 brad, and of course on this side I have the 1 brad. It just keeps everything nice and even for your layout. So we'll just bend those over. And tape the back down. So there are all our cards finished. So here's your finished layout, all completed. I hope you enjoy doing this layout as much as I did. And don't forget, if you want the cutting files, you can get the cutting files from my Facebook group, which there is a link below this video. And with that too, if I do any printables and things and everything else, I'll also put a PDF file for you to download those within the group. So until next time, keep crafting. Bye.